Qualifying 1 was good, but a little tighter than I would have liked. P1 0.151 seconds ahead of Max in second place, with Sector 2 and Sector 3 purple, and Norris taking the purple Sector 1. Not entirely sure why the AI were quicker in Sector 1, but I have also been quicker in Sector 3, so it equals out. After the session, however, Norris took first, 0.524 seconds ahead of me in 6th place. Qualifying 2 was very similar to Q1, 0.156 seconds ahead of Russell in 2nd place. This time I took the Sector 1 and Sector 3 purples, with George taking Sector 2, matching the gap in Sector 3. After the session, Hamilton took another lap and ended 0.426 seconds ahead of me in 2nd place. Last but not least was qualifying 3. I, again, took provisional pole position, but with a smaller gap, 0.104 seconds ahead of Hamilton in 2nd place, only taking Sector 3 purple, with Russell and Hamilton taking purple Sector 1 and Sector 2 respectively. I, of course, then went for a second lap, as Q1 and Q2 had shown that a 10th is not enough for me in first, but my lap showed that it is only because of the AI simulated times. Pole by 0.768 seconds to Hamilton in 2nd place, after the AI did not improve.
For years, the passionate Dutch fans have been easy to find trackside in races across Europe. Here this weekend, it's even easier to find the Dutch fans, as they have a race to call their own once again. A warm welcome to all of our viewers in the Netherlands and around the globe, of course, as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. Zandvoort circuit has 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout the 2.6-mile lap. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. The engineer lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Sergio Perez, and Russell. Vettel, Verstappen, Ricciardo, and Esteban Ocon. Bottas, Schwartzman, Pierre Gasly, and Magnussen. Albon, Stroll, Carlos Sainz, and Guan Yu Zhou. Tsunoda, and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Here we are then, as we get ready for the 5 red lights of the Netherlands Grand Prix. 5 red lights go out, and this lights out, and away we go. Hamilton looks to get a poor start as Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc look to already get past him, as Sergio Perez tries to go around the outside of Charles Leclerc into turn 1. Winter looks to lead away from first place as Norris gets Hamilton through turn 2 and 3, and now Hamilton is left to battle with Perez, as Perez gets past Charles Leclerc on the opening lap and can now chase after the top runners in the podium positions, as the front 2 on the soft tyres, with Hamilton believed to be on the mediums, so maybe that can explain his poor start. Charles Leclerc and the rest though are on the softs, so just a little bit unlucky for Charles. As we go through turn 1, we can see some drops on the rain, drops of rain on the window of the commentary box, and track looks to be a little bit damp, as lap 7, yeah, you can see it through most of the high grip corners where you need all the grip. The rain has arrived and is now affecting the drivers, as lap 7, well, you can see it clearly now, The rain is coming down, and surely everyone's got to be coming in for Intus now, as Lando Norris closes in on Winter due to the low grip, and especially with the low downforce of that Williams. The rain light is now back on the back of the Williams, and he comes into the pit lane most definitely for the intermediates. Coming in very cautiously, as per usual for the Williams team. Sebastian Vettel continues on his mediums, on his tyres for now, as the Williams boys do a very good stop and get Winter out clear ahead of Lando Norris. Roughly 5.7 seconds gap as Mick Schumacher comes out, is racing on the circuit just behind Winter. The gap just under a second, but in one corner it's increased over half a second to 1.3, as he'll surely close into Lance Stroll now. Heading through turn 6, unbelievable speed, looking for a dive bomb into turn 7, not quite. Round the outside of turn, he's going to have to follow him. No, he isn't. He's going to dive down the inside of turn 9 and gets himself up into P4, as Lando Norris does likewise to Mick Schumacher and puts himself in 6th place. This is a gamble from Vettel, Russell, Schwartzman, Stroll, Schumacher and likewise, but it has not paid off for them. Lap 11, Lando Norris has closed in on Winter as we join lap 15. The gap has slightly increased over the last couple of laps, but Lando Norris keeping Winter honest for now as the spray increases, and Norris won't want to get too close to him as he goes a little bit wide through sector 3. Lando Norris has closed in a second from earlier in the lap, as Lewis Hamilton keeps close tabs on the front two as well. Bold strategy choice from the Merc, but it doesn't seem to have paid off for them, as the softs would have been much better in the wet conditions before the pit stop. As lap 15 now, technically 16, they all come in. What tyres are going on to? It's going to be the wet tyres, as our correspondent down in the pit lane tells us, through the years, as Max Verstappen continues on in his home race on the intermediates for now. Possibly a poor choice from the Red Bull team, and it may end up costing him several positions, as Sebastian Vettel and George Russell down in P8 and 9 after their strategy fumble earlier from the dries to inters, as Schwartzman, Schumacher and Stroll are three of the last 4 drivers at the bottom of the table for now. As we follow on Mick Schumacher, lap 17. Not much progress after the one extra lap on the dry tyres in the rain. It's not a new circuit for Schumacher, obviously racing it previously. I don't know why I'm referring to them as if they're F1 drivers. I'm pretending this is Formula 6, even though Formula 6 doesn't exist. Anywho, Schumacher close to Lance Stroll. See if in the next couple of laps he can get close enough to make an overtake, as there's yellow flags and it looks like Schumacher's going slowly. He is, and the yellow flags are for Schumacher as he pulls to the side of the circuit. It looks to be he's retiring, and yes he is. He pulls out of the race and it looks to be a safety car now, as Schumacher is off the side of the circuit in what the FIA deem a dangerous location on the circuit, and now Winter will have the job of backing everyone up behind the safety car to launch us all off again in a couple of lap time when the safety car ends, after the marshals clear up Schumacher's car and possibly any oil left on the circuit, or anything that could have caused any obstructions on the circuit that could have caused retirement from Schumacher. But it looks to be terminal from the car's side and nothing to do with the surroundings that the drivers are racing on. As we pick up the safety car now on lap 20, and you get the message that on lap 20 safety car is going to be pulling in at the end of this lap. And so through sector 3 we'll see the warming up of the tyres, as we only have one proper straight, and the next closest thing to a straight we have is this curve, as safety car now turns off its lights and Winter is left to back up the grid, and he'll most likely do as he normally does, go so slow that you could probably walk past all of them if you wanted to. And here they are, all of them in one shot round the final grandstand. This is of course by the rules allowed to be done by the leader, as everyone under 7 tenths to each other, that you could throw a blanket over. And surely through this final corner now, Winter is going to bolt, as everyone is now under 6 tenths from each other. Not quite bolting through the banking, obviously that would probably be a bit dangerous, but surely on the flat bit of track he is going to go, and he looks like he has a little bit of wheel spin coming off the banking, but heading towards turn 1. A 3 tenths gap is enough, as there looks to be a couple of moves in the background. Sebastian Vettel namely overtaking George Russell, and Carlos Sainz overtaking Kevin Magnussen for 8th and 14th respectively, as Winter launches away from the safety car and has seemingly done well. Lando Norris can't keep close, but there's a little bit of wheel spin coming out of exit at turn 4 through towards turn 7. Lando Norris easy going to be close to go around the outside of turn 7, not quite, heading towards end of sector 1 then, and turn 8 and 9, the double right-hander going over the curbs a little bit from the Williams. Is Lando going to get close enough to try and make a move? Possibly. He's going all over the place. Is Winter trying to get some temperature into these wet tyres? No dry line at the moment, so that's not going to help him at all. Heading towards turn 11 we go then. Lando Norris is going to go towards the inside, down into the chicane. He goes. Winter locks up, goes a little bit wide. Is he still alongside Norris? Just a little bit. Norris going to give him enough space on the inside of the corner. Going to allow Winter to take a run out of the exit of the corner. But with the tightness of turn 12, Winter does not get a run. And Lando Norris takes P1 from the Williams. And now the McLaren can try and pull away, as he seemingly has done so, and leave Lewis Hamilton to try and challenge Bobbi Winter, as we head on to lap 25 now. The gap being fairly consistent, staying under 1 second, although fluctuating a lot between 5 tenths and 8 tenths, as Winter is quicker in other parts of the circuit, and by definition slower in other parts of the circuit, as the track does seem to have dried off a bit. Not much rain coming through the cameras. Is it time for the intermediates? Winter definitely thinks so, as he comes into the pit lane, comes in, and so does Hamilton, Verstappen, and it looks like Charles Leclerc in the pit lane as well. Yes it is Charles Leclerc in the pit lane, as Sebastian Vettel continues on. Intermediates go on the Williams, and is it now drying up, as Zhou Guan Yu, George Russell, Verstappen and Norris continue on. My bad, it was Perez in the pit lane then, as 4 seconds the gap from the head intermediate runner and the rear wet tyre runner is through the first corner out the box. 0.3 the gap decrease, but it's increasing slightly. Is it really time for inters? Looks to be that the wets and the inters are fairly similar at lap time at the moment, only half a second improved through the first sector from Winter and Zhou Guan Yu, as you would expect that to be at least a second, with the pace differential in qualifying between the Alfa Romeo and the particular Williams driver of Bobbi. Obviously can't really look at Sainz, as Bobbi is outperforming that Williams much more than Sainz has been, as the gap has closed down by 1.4. If Lando comes into the pit lane now, which he has, as the gap is not changing, it's going to be very tight on exit on whether Lando Norris is going to be able to keep P1. He's heading down the fast lane. He's going through turn 1 at the moment. Max Verstappen definitely not in first place, maybe losing out to Lewis Hamilton, as Lando Norris keeps P1 for now and gets out at the high end of 1 second to Winter, as Charles Leclerc takes P4 off Max Verstappen coming out of the pit lane. Sergio Perez seemingly losing out from that round of pit stops, as Sebastian Vettel is down in P11, as Ferrari blundering his strategy as well, as we head into the 30s of laps. Halfway the race has gone, as dry weather looks to be arriving, as Max Verstappen comes into the pit lane at the end of lap 36. I'll have to check his sector times, as it looks like Sergio Perez is coming as well. A double stack from the Red Bull boys now. As yes, the track is definitely dry at the moment. The delta between George and Max is not coming down though, but the circuit looks very much dry. The rain blinkers are still going off at the rear of everyone's car as they come into the pit lane now. Winter seems to be going a bit fast in today. He has to slow down dramatically on entry to the pit lane. That might be a speeding penalty, as the rear right looks to be a little bit slow. Is he going to get out behind Hamilton in the pit lane? Might he have gone past him? Yes, that looks like a Mercedes that has gone just past, and onto the mediums everyone goes. And yes, Hamilton exits the pit lane in second place, ahead of the Williams driver. Crucially, Lando and McLaren get the pit stop right and are 2 seconds clear of Mercedes, who is another 1.5 seconds clear of Williams, with Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen battling for 4th place at the moment. But what a blunder. A possible 5-second penalty for pit lane, and a possible a definite slow pit stop from the rear right. Just looked slow coming off, and now Winter will have to make a charge as we head onto lap 41, going around the outside at turn 1. He tried it, didn't get enough speed with the grip of the mediums compared to the grip of the mediums on Mercedes and Hamilton's car. Closing in through turn 12 though. This is where he lost the lead earlier in the race. Maybe it's going to be where he starts to take the lead in the race back from Lando Norris. Not quite, as Lewis Hamilton gets a poor run through the banking, goes towards the middle and inside, as Winter with DRS breezes past him before the brake markers, is up into P2 and can take the racing line, along with Hamilton taking the racing line, as Winter was already on the racing line, and pulls ahead into the brake zone, and doesn't compromise Hamilton's run too much, as Hamilton has been bringing Lando Norris closer together. Top three separated by just over a second now. So Winter is on the back of Lando Norris already and could take DRS as we head on to Sector 2. I'm trying to stall for the moment because I know what's happened. I accidentally skipped a lap when I shouldn't have, as we head towards Sector 3 now. Going through turn 12, is he going to do the Norris to Norris? No, not quite. Norris keeps the lead through turn 12, but the gap is under 3/10 as we head through the final brake zone of the circuit and through the final acceleration zone. As we head towards the DRS line, the gap is already under 2/10 as Lando Norris defends the middle. Winter goes round to the outside once again. Is he going to get the move done for turn 1? Not quite. Lando Norris still close with his front wing alongside his rear axle, but Winter takes the speed round the outside of Tarzan, and before Carousel he is up into P1 once again and has almost broken DRS to Norris, as Norris is only just closer to Winter than he is Hamilton for now. As we head to lap 44, we do have confirmation that Winter does have a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As we head to lap 51, the gap is 8 seconds. It's increasing, it's over 5 seconds, and by the end of the race he's going to have to watch out for his tyre wear, make sure that doesn't drop off the cliff and the gap goes under 5 seconds, but he'd have to drop off 11 seconds in the final 8 laps of the race, as it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Lap 69, fastest lap again by Mr. Bobbi Winter, taking P1 in the fastest lap department. He is trying to go for another fastest lap, but it seems like his ERS is all gone, and so he won't be able to do so. 20 seconds now the gap to Lando Norris. Didn't look like his tyre wear was ever going to come into it. Tyre wear? What's that? Asks the Williams team, as Winter is going to come across the final corner now after losing the lead early on in the dry, takes the lead back, and not even a 5-second penalty for speeding could slow this guy down. P1 for Williams and Winter. What a race that was, from dry to wet to dry. Nothing could really stop Winter. If it only stayed wet a little bit for the rest of the race, then maybe could Norris have took the win. So here we are for the highlights from the game. I mean, it don't matter too much, you already know what's going to happen. Hamilton, both Mercs surprisingly took the mediums. Perez got Sainz at Charles, just by Charles trying to take her outside line, not quite working. Took me a while to get my mediums heated up after the pit stop. Circuit obviously still being a little bit cold from the wet weather, of which you wouldn't know happened if you just looked at the final lap. Yeah, surprisingly it took me a while to get Hamilton. Obviously by this point I already knew I had the 5 seconds. I kind of felt like it was there, so I checked the race director and I knew I had it. So I was like, okay, I've got to push now. When I finally did get Hamilton though, I've always been good around this banking corner. So I did try to go in the middle, as you saw, but Hamilton's like, nah bro, you take the outside. And I was like, okay, fair enough, I'll still get you. Same with Lando, except Lando put a little bit more extra fight through the final corner. And he was like, right, before you take the middle, I'll take the middle. And I was like, again, right, cool, I'll just go around the outside. And of course, a little bit more fight through turn 1, but I was practically already ahead. His front wing was his front axle was nowhere near my rear axle, so I count that as me being clear ahead. Then I just pulled away. Oh yeah. The thing is, I don't really remember that incident. I don't remember that slight spin. I don't even think the gap changed. But whatever, it was an easy victory. It's what we like.
Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
Oh, I've missed out. Game highlights. Okay.
As
Well,
things stand right now, we'll be 4th in the championship.
Well, you won't know that I've missed out the game highlights because I'll put them back in. Anyway, final lap, my final lap, DRS green Delta. Okay, Delta green, meaning we're up. I did ask Mark, about the championship standings, because I knew that if I got enough points I would take 3rd place. Yeah, Mark was being stupid. He didn't want to say that I would get 3rd place. Kind of a spoiler maybe. But if you look at the points, and you've already seen the race, so you should already know that I'd get enough points to overtake Sebastian Vettel. I don't know why the strategy team haven't been taken into consideration the race that is happening right now, saying that I'd still be 4th. I would be 3rd, but yeah, I don't know why that is happening. There we go.
Absolutely awesome. Just amazing, mate. Well done. What a great race then, and a magnificent victory here at the Dutch Grand Prix. Natalie Finkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out of the track was: speed. It sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
There we go. He won at Max's home race. Surprisingly, Max nowhere to be seen. Nowhere near the podium. So I wonder if he's got low focus. At the moment, I've got a bit of high focus, but I know Singapore's coming up soon, so not getting my hopes up high for that. But take every point we can. Prove to another team that they should sign me for my next season. The formation lap was okay with tyre temperatures at a level close to optimal tyre temperatures for me personally. The grid slot was once again purple after getting confident in the brakes. The start was then good with the helping hand of Lewis in 2nd place on mediums versus the surrounding softs. Therefore I kept 1st into turn 1 while Lewis had to fight for 2nd place with Norris and Leclerc. Norris won the fight on the outside with Hamilton settling for 3rd on the inside. This then meant the Leclerc lost out completely, even dropping to 5th behind Perez. End lap 1, I had a 1.3 second gap to Norris, which increased by lap 5 to 3.2 seconds when the rain started to arrive. And by lap 7, Mark and the FIA decided the weather was bad enough for intermediates, so the grid inevitably pitted lap 7. My gap to Norris in 2nd by then was 5.3 seconds, and with a cautious entry and a moderate pit stop and quick release, I came out just ahead of Schumacher when rejoining the circuit, but with a 2.5 second gap to Norris. Then, with Stroll's dries, I dived him into turn 9 to take 4th place, which became 1st on lap 9, when the rest of the grid had pitted for the intermediates, with a gap of 2 seconds to Norris. By lap 13, this dropped to 1.8 seconds, but rose to 2.6 seconds by lap 15, when the weather became really poor and the wet tyres were needed to maintain good lap times. I again was cautious into the lane, bringing the gap to 1.8. The pit stop was quite quick, and a quick release there kept me ahead of Norris. Lap 17, Schumacher's engine then decided the race was not worth doing, and at the end of the second sector, the engine gave up and retired from the race. Very quickly, the safety car was then thrown out. The safety car, however, was not long, and we called it on lap 19 for it to come in lap 20 and have lap 21 as the first lap back racing. I, as of late, dropped into first gear and slowed the whole grid to a gap of 0.5 seconds to 0.6 between each car. Then passing the pit entry line, I went and allowed everyone to sort themselves out behind me. But Norris had other ideas and decided he was going to follow me very closely instead of battling Hamilton. And into turn 11 with a dive bomb and me going wide, he made the move and we forwarded it out towards turn 13. But he was already ahead and I had to settle for second place now. For now. In the laps that preceded, the gap never went above a second across the line. Lap 25, I decided, along with Hamilton, that intermediates were quickest again, and we both pitted. The pit stop itself was moderate, and a quick release meant a quick lane, and building the gap to Lewis after my cautious entry. Rejoining the circuit, I was 4 seconds behind Joe in 4th, still on his wets, and by sector 3, I brought it to 3 seconds. However, Joe was not the best measure, as Norris pitted lap 26 and came out ahead of me. So I decided to again stay within a second, which is what I did till lap 37, except lap 25 and 35. Lap 27 and 35, when the track completely dried and the mediums were now the order of the day. This time I did not go cautious and it bit me in the back, with a 5-second penalty added to my name. The pit stop then sent its regards by giving me the slow stop on the rear right, with it being slow coming off, and I rejoined the circuit in 3rd place behind both Norris and Hamilton this time. But with the pace being in the dry instead of the wet, I began the charge. I took till lap 41 to erode 2 seconds to Lewis, but it was not till lap 42 when I overtook him. With a great run out of the final corner, I took the outside, and even before turn 1, I took second place and immediately set sights on Lando. This time a good run from the final corner, and I pulled to the inside, only for Norris to do the same. So I took the outside, and by the time we hit the apex, I was ahead and into first place to now build a very important 5-second gap, which came into existence on lap 48. So with now no more stops, I had to maintain the tie condition and the 5-second gap. The gap, however, had other ideas, and it became 10 seconds on lap 54, 15 seconds on lap 60, and hovered between 15 and 20 for the rest of the race. Topped off with a fastest lap on lap 69, of course, and then the race win at the end of lap 72, and the penalty bringing the gap to 16 seconds after breaking the 20 seconds barrier for the only time on this final lap. I love Netherlands, and with Vettel in 11th place, I take 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. Like I said in Belgium though, I do expect an engine blowout soon, hopefully in Singapore, when I would not be scoring any points anyway, but I might take new components to finish the season then, so who knows.